film to me really was kind of like a mysterious kind of magical industry. I didn't really understand it. I didn't really, to be honest, I didn't know there really was a film industry. I didn't really understand. There was a cinematographer, a director, a producer, a sound. I didn't really understand how much work really went into film. At my school, there was 4 people in our film studies class. I stumbled upon that our school done a film studies course when I was looking for a subject to take. I had a spare slot for one, and I was walking down the corridor, looked around at the film, and I was like, well, I like watching films, so I'll pick that. Um, and from then, really, I just fell in love. It became my favourite subject. I've always loved watching films. I've always watched films um, quite relentlessly, to be honest. I've watched dozens of films. And I'm always fascinated by how powerful they can be, how they can make you feel a certain way, how people can change their lives because of a film, how they can manipulate you to think something. It's probably one of the most powerful tools out there, really. And so from there, I think we had to make one film. It's my first film I ever made. I was really confident about it. Got 5 mates involved. Got a special effects makeup. One of my friends, she done it, and the makeup looked great. It all looked good. It was like an interrogation-y thing, and yeah, it was probably the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. To be honest, it was utterly awful. But what I learned from that was, one, don't work with so many of your friends as actors because they're a nightmare to keep in control. And two, really just play around with the cameras and stuff before. You need to be comfortable with it. Like I've never before then really used a camera, so all the settings were the settings weren't really correct. I've not really even used the editing software as much at all either, so editing wise took a while, and it was just awful. I thought it was going to be this great artistic piece, but in reality, it was. I mean, from a production standpoint, it was good, but everything else was just awful. But from then, it's quite a complicated road to how I ended up at film uni. Like, I applied to loads of ones, got the offers, but I didn't understand how you got into the film industry. No one could tell me. I had 4 people in my class. No one could tell me at school how do you get into the film industry? Do you do an apprenticeship? Do you internship? Is it through uni? No one could tell me anything. So I was so confused. I didn't know what to do. I went to several apprenticeship interviews. I applied to the 5 unis, whatever. Got all my offers offered to me, but because I was delaying this for so long, I missed the deadline for accepting it. And then after that, you can only apply for one, and searching around, and I found this one in Sheffield, and it was very practical based, and applied, and yeah, I got a unconditional offer, and that's that, and that's how I'm here today. But my experiences through the productions that I made, I started off probably more less kind of technical, more directing kind of general stuff, producing kind of thing. But then over the years, I've kind of improved my cinematography a lot, and my sound, and a lot of my technical ability. And now I love doing that kind of thing. I like put my hands in all pots. With sound, I love developing a sound design. I like doing a score for a film from scratch. I've just done one recently that was inspired by the film We Are Your Friends. There's a scene in that that I really loved, just like a DJ track, and I created one from scratch like that. And just really, for my filmmaking thing, I made a lot of bad ones. I made some good ones. It's really just getting out there and making it for yourself and experiencing things. I've got another project that's on the way through with Sean that tackles kind of something quite close to me, kind of like a mental side of things. And how a childhood can affect someone's in later life.
More or less always been a creative, always been interested in media and arts. Had a very big interest in video games for a lot of my life up until sort of the end of my first year of university where I started getting into photography and film a lot more. Figured I wanted to do something that was maybe a bit more interesting and allowed me to like get out there and explore a bit more. So yeah, I decided to just take the plunge and completely switch to something I'd never done before. Aside from that, yeah, big fan of travel, big fan of photography. Quite a plain and simple guy, if I'm honest. Get told by Harry all the time that I'm a plain Nesbit, so but that's who I am, I guess. Black and white everything. Cardboard flavoured everything. Yeah, not much to say.
So, I used to make films when I was very young, me and my dad. Mainly in his bedroom. Well, it was my dad's bedroom, but there was only me and him there. Curtain shut. Just with little trains, Nothing, just trains. That was the code word. But from that, I can remember being very young, and it was about the time DVDs were dying out, and people would give me VHS. DVDs were coming in, VHS was going out. They gave me some stuff. A lot of VHS, a lot of random VHSs, and some of them were like pretty brutal, like Terminator, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Deep Throat, etc. So as a young child consuming this sort of media, probably has shaped my outlook on film. Hopefully just film. And a lot of my tastes are still in action and violence in film. So yeah, and in 2016, I got this film funded called Cash in Hand. Made it with an actor called Aidan Osborne. I think he's on some sort of list. But yeah, it was 2016. Got it crowdfunded, and it was a huge mistake. The two main things that I learned on that film was, number one, know your kit before you shoot. And I mean inside out. Don't just think, I've used it once on someone else's shoot, fuck it, it'll be alright. I mean, like, know that kit inside out. Know the stuff that you don't need to know. Because you never know. You might need to know it. And number two, what was the second one? Always overestimate how long things are going to take. Always. It's always good to shoot under or be on time, but more often than not, how long I think it is, I times that by 4, right? That's how long I tell the people I'm going to be there for, right? And often, it's longer than that.